Mike Novogratz says the Clarity Act will trigger a TradeFi stampede into crypto. We already heard from the White House special advisor Patrick Witt that he believes trillions are sitting on the sideline waiting to come into the crypto market. I want to play the latest and greatest and give you an update of what's going on with the Clarity Act and what to expect. We did get some new information today. Let's go through that information together. Coin Bureau posted this: French Hill U.S. House will hold a Clarity Act field hearing in New York on July 17th. The House Financial Services Chair says that their hearing will advance digital asset market structure legislation. He wants to combine the Clarity Act with the Genius Act per Fox News. So it does look like things are happening and moving forward behind the scenes. The momentum is here. We just need the votes. The Clarity Act is the closest Congress has ever come to real digital asset market infrastructure. Momentum like this will not come around again for the next decade. So Senator Lummis is saying we need to get it done now or it won't happen. Here is the clip with Mike Novogratz. They're really standing out. Everybody's sharing this right now on X. Let's go through it together.
There's a question about the Clarity Act or the regulatory framework. I would tell you, first of all, I have spent a ton of time in DC recently or on the phone with senators. My son asked me if I was running for office. I told him, no, I'm just beating all these people. People have worked their tail off for 18 months on this. Yeah. Galaxy has been part of those conversations. Our team, Natalia, down in DC is doing an amazing job. Our old guy, Tyler Williams, is working for Scott Bessent as the coordinator for the Treasury Department. But there's a whole lot of the crypto community down there, and it's been a complicated story. Republicans ran on being pro-crypto. They really feel like they want to get this done. Democrats are split. The bulk of the party says, let's get crypto off the table so it's not an issue to talk about, and let's do something good in technology for the American economy, right? And so I would say the centrist Democrats are all there. The left wing of the Democratic Party is seeing what is perceived to be a tremendous amount of corruption in the use of crypto from parts of the Trump family or Trump administration, and they're using that to say, wait a minute, this just doesn't feel good. And so the last sticking point in this bill is what would be called the ethics piece of it. Can we get to yes, and can we put at least some disclosures, restrictions on the president, the vice president, Congress people from issuing their own coin? Can we make sure if they have crypto, it's held in blind trusts? And so that'll be the last bridge to cross. I personally think it'll get done. I don't think a group of senators has worked harder on a bill in the last 5 years. There has been so many hours.
Really quickly, before we get into this, how long we've worked on the bill, important part here, the last thing you want is to pass crypto legislation and then senators, Congress people, the next president creating their own tokens and using their office to promote that to make money. Not saying that anyone's ever going to do that, but the chances are there, right? Realistically, if somebody needs to raise money or wants to mess around in crypto, they have the ability to do that unless there's something in the Clarity Act that stops them from doing it. So it's not just about one person here. It's about a group of people here that are in office representing you and I every single day on Capitol Hill. We want them doing their job and creating laws and moving the country forward and not just using their office to create wealth for themselves. And so how are they going to get around this ethics fight? I think we still don't have a really good understanding. We had a deal around ethics that fell apart about a month ago now, and there really hasn't been any good suggestions about what this could look like. There has been one suggestion that we'll be able to sue certain crypto exchanges in the United States if they list a token that is associated with, somebody in office. That's really not a great solution here. Also, Mike Novogratz is going to get into how much time and energy has been worked on the bill. You need to understand that there is no other bill in Congress and the Senate that has had more time, more energy, more meetings, more everything, every single category you can imagine. This is it. And to make it this far and to not get it across the finish line would be a complete disaster, I think, for both parties here. And one will blame the other, but at the end, it falls on both parties to come together, get a compromise that makes sense for the American people, and get it done.
Harder on a bill in the last 5 years. There has been so many hours burned between guys like Senator Gallegos and Senator Warner and Kristen Gillibrand from here in New York, Senator Cortez Masto on the Democratic side, and on the Republican side, you've had Tim Scott, who's leading the committee, but a ton of participation.
Tillis, Lummis. I mean, there's a lot of key Republicans. Senator Bernie Moreno. I mean, the list goes on and on and on about how many Republicans have been trying to support and get this done.
I think we're going to get it done, and I think that's important because that's going to unleash the next wave of TradeFi guys coming into crypto.
Yes.
It's going to be a stampede. And you've seen it already. There's been a couple transactions, M&A transactions done where TradeFi guys are saying, hey, I've got to get set. And it's really set for the tokenization of stocks, the tokenization of mortgages, the tokenization of everything. It will be crypto rails, wallet infrastructure, staking infrastructure, token, security that slowly replaces the existing infrastructure that we have. And so that's happening. And I think this Clarity Act is a question.
Regulators have already said, so Michael Selig of the CFTC and the SEC director, Paul Atkins, have already said if Congress doesn't do it, they will do it. The issue with that is the next administration and the next head of the CFTC and then the head of the next SEC can really undo all the work, right? And so the only way to codify this and make it law is to pass the Clarity Act. And that's it. That's where we are. Clarity Act is entering the pressure window, not because someone posted a bullish chart, because Congress is running out of days. July still has working time. August is mostly recess, and September is possibly, people are going back because of midterms and other issues. And there are other bills that are being negotiated and worked on. So there's not a lot of time left for XRP, XLM, and HBAR and American digital assets. This is the kind of catalyst that does not look exciting until it suddenly matters everywhere. And so clear rules of the road obviously is very important. Here we are in July. And this really does show you kind of how many working days are left. And then take a look at this in August. You have just the first week in August, and then they're on recess again. It is baffling how much time senators and congresspeople get off. It's kind of nice. I want that schedule, right? That would be really great for everybody. But this is the window, right? They get back here on the 13th on Monday, which is 2 days away. You're going to get this video on Sunday. So it's going to be 1 day away. And really, they're going to be working on the national defense bill this week. And so this is the time I think that we'll get it done. Let me stop this. This is freaking... It's confusing me. This is the time I think it'll get it done, from the 20th to the 7th. If you don't see anything happening between that time, it probably won't happen because they go on recess and then they're going to be back in their home states. And then the election is right here with this. I think this is one of the in like the first week or two of November. And then you have this kind of lame duck session where if you've been voted out, you're not going to show up, to pass anything. All right. This is Summer Messenger. I'm not going to play this full thing, but she is from the Blockchain Association. She's been one of the key negotiators behind the scenes to try to get the Clarity Act move forward. Let me play this.
So many people that say to me, Clarity is only at like 40% on poly markets or 40% on Kalshi, and I'm saying, vote-wise, I'm like 99% sure we're going to have a vote. Obviously, a lot of crazy stuff could happen and set that back, but I feel very strongly that we're going to have a vote. As far as passage, I've been at about 60%. Some of that's just gut instinct from years of, working in the Senate, being around legislative process, seeing what's happening.
Alone, the Lord.
All right. And then I did want to show you this insight. The crypto lobby has spent $189 million on election campaigns so far in 2026. This is the problem that senators and congresspeople are going to have. If you are against crypto, you are going to be against a machine of money running with your opposition. This is the thing. If you don't get on board with the technology, like if you are just so stubborn that no matter what you're going to do, you're just going to say no to crypto, and you have an election coming up, imagine the person that you're going to be running against is going to probably have millions of dollars from companies like Ripple and Coinbase and all of these super PACs and Tether, because they are now reshaping. Banks have a ton of money and they have shaped the laws in this country to fit their benefit. Now it's time for the crypto companies. I don't have a problem with this. Let me give you a little bit more information here. Ripple becomes one of crypto's biggest political contributors ahead of the Clarity Act vote with almost $50 million. According to a new report, Ripple Labs has contributed nearly $50 million towards pro-crypto political political efforts in 2026 in this election cycle. That places Ripple among the largest political contributors in the entire crypto industry, alongside firms like Andreessen Horowitz, Crypto.com, and Coinbase. Ripple, 49.6, crypto industry, 189 million. This shows you really how invested Ripple is. And Andreessen Horowitz is actually right above Ripple at 51.65 million. That's a lot of money. And this is a very big deal because Ripple is now one of the single largest corporate political spenders in the US, and it is doing so at the exact moment when the Clarity Act will define a long-standing regulatory path for XRP and other assets. A recent report shows that crypto firms have spent 189 million so far in the 2026 US midterms, roughly 37% of all corporate political spending. Ripple Labs is near the top of that list with 49 million, and also top contributors like Crypto.com, Andreessen Horowitz, and Forrest, Dax, and Coinbase. Much of this money flows through super PACs like Fairshake, which has about 103 million to deploy after Ripple, Coinbase, and A16Z funded multiple rounds aimed at electing pro-crypto members of Congress for the 2026 cycle. All of this is happening as the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, a landmark market structure bill, moves from the Senate Banking Committee toward a full Senate vote and has already passed the House in 2025. Why this matters, obviously, it would give XRP and other assets a clear regulatory certainty path for institutional use case. And, I don't want to get too lost into the weeds in that, but the goal here, the information I'm trying to show you is there's a lot of money being spent right now. And that money will affect the election. And we are going to get even more people that are elected on both sides of the aisle that are pro-crypto, and that is going to be a good thing for the crypto industry. There was also this from somebody from Coinbase here. The Clarity Act is on the 1 yard line. This is Coinbase's Vice Chair Ryan Van Grask. Says the momentum is behind U.S. market structure legislation, and it is now unmistakable.
What changes do you expect once the Clarity Act becomes law?
Well, first of all, and I like how you phrased it, Maria, when the Clarity Act becomes law. We're on the 1 yard line. The momentum is unmistakable, and we're very optimistic about it becoming law. The changes we're going to see is with the Clarity Act passing, that's going to trigger not just stability and clarity within the space, but a whole suite of rules and regulations to follow. And the reason that's critical is because institutions and individuals, they embrace regulation. They want that certainty. And so those who may have been on the sidelines or those who may have only dipped their toe in the water, we expect all of that participation to accelerate once you have the regulatory scaffolding that we've long sought in this space.
You have the power to email or call your senator or congressperson right now in this moment. Pick up the phone, Google how to do it. It's not very difficult. How do I contact my senator? Boom. There's going to be a website contacting U.S. senators. You click on the website. What state are you in? Let's say you're in California. There you go. Choose the senator, Alex Padilla or Adam Schiff. You click on Adam Schiff, let's say, maybe not the best example here, but there you go. All right. And then there'll be a thing, how you can contact these things, how you can set up an appointment, just go do it. Contact Adam right there. It's not difficult. No matter what state you live in, you can kind of go back here. Let's say you live in Kansas. That's an interesting one. These are your senators, right? I don't know who either one of these people are, but these are your senators. Hit the button, contact them. Let's go. Let's take the power back. Banks in certain institutions are doing everything they can to prevent this legislation. We need to be fighting for this legislation. I'll leave it there. Have a good Sunday. Have a good week ahead. Let's have some fun here. And thank you for your time, as always. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. All right. Aloha.